You are listening to the Horse Radio Network, part of the Equine Network family. Well, hi, everybody. It's good to have you here again today. This is Glenn the Geek, founder of the Horse Radio Network and host of Horses in the Morning Daily podcast for the last 14 years. Welcome to the WESA Retail Roundup. The Retail Roundup is your go-to virtual hub for all things retail. Join panel discussions, learn from webinars, share your thoughts, ask questions, and connect with your community. We host a virtual event or share educational content every Monday via the Retail Roundup Facebook group. And if you're not a member yet, go over to the Facebook and search for Retail Roundup and join over there. Today, I'm very excited because we have somebody that's known for her stylish content and collaborations with iconic brands like Wrangler and many more. We're going to learn about that today. Shaylee Ham has become a major influencer shaping trends in Western fashion and retail. And today, she's going to share her retail insights, and we're going to focus a little bit on influencers and how your influencers can work for you and what's the best practices there. Hey, Shaylee, good to have you.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to dive into some of these topics. And I know I've had so many retailers come up to me during WESA and, just ask for tips and tricks. So happy to sit down with you today.
She and I give a disclaimer here. We're both on Starlink. She's on Starlink on one side of the country, all the way up in the upper, you're in the upper west, right?
Yes, the Northwest.
Northwest. Okay. And I am in Florida where we're about to have a hurricane. So if our Starlink craps out here and there, you'll know why. You might miss a word or two, but that's what's happening. Is my reception is probably much worse than yours right now. So we're lucky to be here at all, facing another hurricane here in Florida. All right, let's get, so tell us, you've worked with a couple of companies now designing products. Some of them are behind you.
Yes, they are. I've been doing the influencer thing for about 8 years now, and all 8 years have been dedicated to the Western industry and Western fashion specifically, as well as promoting the lifestyle. I come from a rodeo family, so it's been fun to be able to share, that side of my life as well. But I've been able to partner with a few select brands like Rock and Roll Denim. I've been a partner with them launching a couple clothing collections the past 4 years. Lane Boots, which you'll be able to see a couple of my boots up here in the corner. I've designed 5 pairs of boots with them over the last year and a half. And also a big shout out to Hui. We launched their first women's perfume together. And so it's been really fun to be able to really dive deeper into some of these partnerships with these brands.
So when you deal with boutique stores, we're talking the store like I used to have, right? The tack shop in a community, and we have an online presence, that kind of thing. So when you're dealing with those kind of boutique stores, what media strategies today are proving most effective? Because that changes, it seems like, every 2 years.
It does change. It's important to stay on top of not only trends, but seeing what your audience is really engaging with. I used to be a tax accountant actually for 7 years. And so I go back to like some of those accounting methods, and I'll go back through some of my content and basically do an audit. And I think that's important for some of these retailers and boutique owners to also do pretty frequently, is go back and look at their posts for the last months and see what kind of content that they're posting is either generating some of the most engagement or even generating some of the most sales using some of the different features that social media allows, such as like the Instagram shop feature.
Wait, and it used to be everything we did had to have an ROI attached to it, and that's not that way anymore.
Well, I still believe that there's some ROI, but I just think that the return looks different than it used to. It's not always the dollar symbol anymore. There's so many different ways that you can see some of that return happening.
Exposure being one of the biggest ones, right? I mean, that's what,
yes.
Although that's dangerous too, because with, you can have all the exposure in the world, not sell anything. So there is a line there, right?
Absolutely. And I know we're going to dive into this more as we go on today, but I think making sure finding that brand partner that works with you, where they actually have some real people behind the screens that trust them, they are loyal to them, they build those communities of like-minded people that will then convert into some of those sales for the brands that they're working with.
So get specific for me. Right now, what are you seeing social media content wise that really works for the small to medium sized store?
I think being able to showcase products in a very clean and clear manner. So high quality content is definitely going to have a big effect on how people respond to it. And that doesn't mean hiring models. It doesn't mean hiring professional photographers. As long as you have a decent camera, and it can be your iPhone, and also good lighting in order to display your products properly, I think that's going to go a long ways. And something else I've really noticed with some boutiques that have seen some success with their online presence is showing the various ways on how to style the different products. Anyone can hold up a picture of a sweater and post that on their social media. But if you show the sweater styled with maybe some jeans and accessories, then people are going to start seeing the ways that they can actually be wearing these pieces, and it'll be more enticing for them to buy them.
Comedy, humor come into play?
I think so. Social media, it's big on some of the trends. People really want to dive into some of the more like comedy and lifestyle aspects, and they enjoy consuming that type of content instead of always being forced to feel like they're being sold to. So if you can incorporate some of those more fun aspects or relatable aspects within your content, that's always going to go a long ways.
So let's transition into influencers, because that used to be a thing. I mean, it used to be you had your professional writers who were your influencers, right? The big name professional writers. And basically the deal was most of them didn't get any money. They got product. That's how it worked back in the day. And then they would forget to ever post anything or, even mention the product. They just got the product and used it. And they weren't real good about posting it. That's another thing that's changed, right? I mean, with the advent of an influencer, which technically both of us are, right? I mean, that's what we are. The advent of an influencer, we have to do a lot more as influencers, but what should the boutiques expect from their influencers?
So I think first and foremost is having expectations clearly laid out in advance. So before they go and reach out to some of these influencers, make sure that the boutique and retailer themselves know what their key points are that they want the influencer to talk about, what their optimal goal is from working with these influencers. And so you don't want any guessing happening on either end, whether it be from the influencer or be from the retailer on what they might be getting from the influencer. So contracts are a very important thing in this industry. And I've heard so many horror stories from, partnerships going awry because people, sorry.
Yeah, you were breaking up a bit, so that's why.
Okay, sorry.
Okay.
Partnerships have gone awry because people don't have contracts in place. So I think making sure that as a retailer, you are identifying some of these clear expectations, such as different concepts you want the influencer to touch on in terms of photos or videos, maybe some key posting dates. If it's around a specific launch, you want to make sure that they're not missing that launch date. And also just knowing what types of deliverables, or if they are going to be shipping items back, if you're giving the influencer a discount code. I think first and foremost, those are the types of things that these retailers should be thinking of before they're reaching out to influencers.
So what do the influencers expect?
The influencers, depending on their experience level, can honestly expect a range of different things. And it truly becomes a partnership where me personally, each brand or each retailer that comes to me, I make sure to cater our partnership so that it's mutually beneficial. And I think that's going to be a big key to success. I can offer specific social media packages, but if I'm not willing to also work with these retailers on what their needs are, then it's not always going to be successful. So being open-minded and knowing, although I may be offering one post on social media, if I'm also delivering that content for the brand to utilize or for the retailers to utilize, that's going to go a long ways. And
are most of the influencers now expecting an affiliate fee or, a percentage, or is it, what are they expecting now? It used to be it was just product, right?
Yeah.
But there wasn't much motivation to promote either. Now with affiliates and with affiliate fees and not coupon codes, but the affiliate codes, you do expect a percentage now. So what's that look like?
So I would say it almost feels like a tiered system, and like where the first tier is product trade. And then you kind of go up another step and it's product trade with an affiliate link. So then you're making a little bit of commission on those sales, whether it be through the link or through a discount code. And then we start to get up to payment terms. And so I think it varies depending on what experience level of influencer you work with, but also everything is negotiable. I know a lot of influencers who have been doing this for a number of years now that are still happy to do product trade or commission only type partnerships. And sometimes that does go back to what the expectations are in terms of how many posts they're expected to make. I personally work with a few retailers where I make commission if I share things with my code or my link, but I actually don't have any posting requirements. So I can get a few products, maybe once or twice a year. And as I feel the need or like desire to talk about them, then I'm able to earn some commissions. Where I have other brands that I work on a paid for content basis. So they do still provide me with products so that I can properly promote them. But then they're paying for the number of posts that I make on my social media.
Which do you like better as an influencer?
Well, at the end of the day, I still have to pay my bills. So I think it's always great when I'm able to make money doing this because it is my job just as well as the retailers have their business. This is my business. I like to have a range though. It's nice having those consistent retailers and brands wanting to work with me on a monetary basis, but I like having some of these partners, which are usually more of the small business and smaller retailers that I can recommend every once in a while and just really highlight them as a business. And it just feels less stressful because when I post, I can make some commission. Otherwise, it's also products that I use in my day-to-day life that I enjoy, and I don't mind working with them for product trade.
It is hard with the smaller stores because time is your enemy, right? Time's always our enemy, no matter what business we're in. That's our biggest. It isn't money. It isn't anything else. It's time. And they have a limited amount of time to deal with influencers, to track everything, to put all the posts out. Do you recommend they hire somebody part-time or, in this case, probably with a boutique would be part-time, hire somebody? Does it pay off to hire somebody part-time to handle the social media and the influencers and to keep track of all that stuff? You were an accountant.
Yeah, I definitely think that if you can get someone part-time that can kind of do a few of these jobs within like their one realm, it will pay off 10 times than what you're paying this person to do, whether it's taking care of the social media posts on their own retailer page, but then they're also handling some of the influencer relations or even customer service type of relations. If you can find that person where you can train them to handle a couple of these jobs, they're definitely going to pay for themselves at the end of the day.
How do you recommend that the boutiques, the store owner, how do you recommend they pick their influencers and vet their influencers? Because that's kind of important too now.
Yes, I think it's important for these retailers to keep their eye on some of these influencers for a while before they reach out to them. What is the influencer's style? Not only just how they wear their clothes, but like, what are they posting about? What other brands are they posting? What does their organic content look like? And kind of make sure some of those values that they talk about and display on social media align with what your brand values are as well. This was years ago, but I remember hearing feedback from a small brand where they sent product off to like a model influencer, and she kind of took pictures scantily clad like underneath whatever their product was, and they realized that wasn't what their brand messaging was, but that wasn't discussed beforehand. But if you pay attention to some of these influencers for a while before you reach out to them, you'll really get a sense of who they are as a person, what their values are, and make sure that you are selecting the right choice.
Yeah, you really have to do it back, because if you're reading their posts, and go back a year, if you're reading their posts and you're going and you're going, I don't know. I don't know means don't.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You have to be absolutely confident they match your brand.
Yeah, especially going back and even watching some of their stories. What are they talking about to their audience day to day? Even in today's world, the political climate is like such a tense one. So if they are talking political things, which is totally fine if they are, but you don't want that kind of involved with your brand, that might be something to think about, and vice versa. Maybe you have a strong stance with your political senses, and if this person isn't talking about that, is that okay with you? So just little things like that, I think, is important to pay attention to.
How about written contracts?
Written contracts are so important, and I'm here to say use Chat GPT. It'll be your best friend and help you draft like a very simple, streamlined contract that you can update with every influencer or every brand partner that you work with. And it will just give you the peace of mind that you've got your bases covered. And again, back to the whole thing where you're preparing yourself and your key messaging and your goals before reaching out to someone. And you're making sure that those are properly displayed within the contract. So then they clearly know what you're expecting as well.
One of the things, too, that we've noticed over the years working with some of our advertisers we've been with for 16 years, and they forget to tell us about new product launches. And yet we're already on your side. We're already a believer in your brand. We're the first ones that should know about new product launches, right? Because the influencers are the ones that get them the new product, put it in their hands. They're the ones that are going to use it and go out and tell everybody about it. They should be your best avenue for that, not the one you forget to do. And then you go out and do all the advertising you haven't told your influencers.
Yeah, I agree. The influencers and brand partners, they're there to help you create that excitement. So even if you're doing it on your end as a retailer or a boutique owner, the more people that you can get talking about this buzz or this launch, like the more excitement in general that these shoppers are going to have. So if you can, like, tell them some of the dates where, okay, here's where we're going to announce this launch. And then 2 days later, we're going to do some teaser of some of the different products in this launch. And then 2 days later is when the launch is going to happen. That's just going to align your posting schedule, your launch schedule with what the influencer is doing, and it's going to get the most buzz and excitement building for it.
Do you want, as an influencer, do you want talking points when these new products are sent out?
Yes, I love talking points. And if there's a retailer that I work with that doesn't say that explicitly up front, I always make sure to ask them before I'm posting, hey, is there anything you want me to specifically say or mention or highlight about this, whether it be around a launch or whether it just be us working together in general? Because every retailer, every brand has a story. And I think it's important to make sure that you're highlighting that side of it along with the products as well, because ultimately you want to help them build that community and that loyalty with your followers so that they can become customers. So being able to tell the story of the brand, of the retailer, more than just here's a fun new product is going to go so far.
Probably a problem you don't have that we do is we have a lot of supplement companies and pharmaceuticals as sponsors. And there we have to be really careful. There we have to toe the line because it's so regulated and it's something that we have to be very careful with. And even influencers kind of have to be careful with that.
Yeah. I know I work with some alcoholic companies, and those are, again, also very regulated, especially through social media. There's some apps where they don't even want you to post on because the app itself doesn't have the 21 and over regulation. So those are some important things, especially to telling your brand partners.
You could end up breaking the law there. That's just so how can boutique retailers encourage their customers to create and share user-generated content? How can they make their customers the influencer?
Well, first of all, user-generated content is some of the most amazing, basically free advertisement you can get. Because I
can tell you in podcasting, it's still today 70% of people find out about new podcasts from a friend.
Yeah, I believe that word of mouth is the most powerful form of advertising, right? So I think a good way to start enticing some of this user-generated content among your customers and hopefully to get new customers is, can you yourself as a brand and as a retailer, can you start highlighting some of these people? Can you do maybe a weekly or bi-weekly feature where, hey, here's how our customers are styling our pieces? And that might take some build up until you start getting people consistently tagging you in those posts. But if you can use just, maybe people that are coming into your store and shopping with you, if they wouldn't mind sharing some of that stuff with you and you can highlight them. But when your online audience starts seeing that you're sharing these people and tagging them, they feel good about themselves that they're being highlighted. So then they'll want to do it more, and they'll start telling their friends about, oh my gosh, I was featured on this page, or they will themselves reshare their content that you shared. So it's kind of, a little trickle down effect where if you can start utilizing that free advertisement to your advantage, it'll start spread the word faster.
I agree totally. And it's hard to get it started, as you said. It's hard to get that ball rolling. But once you have to, you might have to throw some shills in there at the beginning too. So you're going to talk to a couple of your customers who are going to cooperate. But once the others see that other customers, other people are out there doing this type of thing, they will do it. They just don't want to be first.
That's very true. It takes a brave soul to be first, but I think once you get that, all it takes is one, right? It only takes one to really get the ball rolling. So like you said, if you need to throw a couple of your own chips in the pile to get it started, I think it'll catch on fast.
That used to be in radio, call-in shows. Remember those call-in shows on Morning Drive Radio? Well, the first 5 callers were all people they set up to call. Because nobody wants to be first, even there. And they always had a statistic for every 1,000 listeners, one person will call. It's 1 out of 1,000. It's kind of the same with your customers. You're going to have it's the old 80-20 rule. That's never changed since I've been in retail in 40 years. 20% of your customers are still 80% of your business. And those 20% are your most active engaged, and they're the ones that are going to be active engaged. The other 80% you're never going to get. They'll come in and they'll buy stuff occasionally, but they're not going to be your brand promoters. They're not going to be your customer influencers.
Yeah. And I think when the retailers can show that appreciation for that 1% or 20% that is doing that, that's really going to just, as it is, like show the appreciation. And so it's just going to encourage at least that percentage to keep doing that for them.
And that 20% is going to get the 80% in the door.
Yes, exactly.
And that's fine. That's what works, right? But it's funny how that's never changed in all the years. It's always, I owned an acting company for years. That's what this is up here. And 80% loved the show. 400 people would be in the audience. 80% loved it. 20% hated it. And they ate the same food and saw the same show.
Yeah.
It's just that 80-20 rule has never changed over the years. So how about building community? What can you do to build community? Obviously, I know Aiken Salary and some of the others have done a really good job of building community. And part of that is they do have meetups at local shows, and they have meetups in their stores, and they go above and beyond to get their people together. So what do you suggest there?
My mind went to, are there things that you can get involved with where your ideal customer is going to be at, where you can kind of spread the knowledge of your business at those either events, or can you even host events in your retail store that not even outside of normal hours, but hey, we're having a sip and shop on a Friday afternoon. Maybe you're having like some kind of trunk show where you're bringing in a specific vendor that you sell in your store and they're highlighting their products. And just kind of bringing that camaraderie and community together in person, I think is a powerful thing. But also when you're talking about the online space, there's ways to do that online as well that really wouldn't cost you any more money because it's all going to be done on social media. You don't have to host any like in-person events. But maybe around specific launches, you can say like, here's kind of like our theme. We want to see how you guys are incorporating these pieces around this general topic, and that will start to catch on and kind of build that community because you're wanting to see what your customers are doing, how they're styling, how they're using the products, and you're really wanting their feedback. And some more ways could even be on social media, utilizing some of the feedback features, whether you're opening your DMs or you're getting on your Instagram stories and putting question boxes and answering specific questions that your audience has, and just kind of building that connection. I know even myself as an influencer, that's one way that I help build the trust within my community is I want to be the person that they can still come to with their requests or their questions. So doing that as a retailer or as a boutique or brand is also very important.
So what we have a couple of minutes left. What do you want to say, to wrap this up?
I would like to say that, in today's day and age, like everything is mostly going to see a lot of success online. Working with influencers, I'm going to pitch influencers since that is what I am.
By the way, I hate that term, but I don't have a better one.
I prefer content creator, but I mean, they pretty much go hand in hand.
Hand in hand, yeah. I mean, basically, you're both, right?
So, or brand partner, I think is another way to put it, because I do think having that, emphasizing the partnership between yourself and the creator is a big thing. Definitely tapping into them. And even if it's a loyal customer that you see purchase after purchase and, maybe they're sharing online, like approaching them like, hey, I know this isn't your full-time gig. I know you're not an influencer or a content creator, but we love what you're doing. We appreciate your business and we would just love to, maybe partner with you in some way. And so ways like that, where you could just like start tapping into your community and utilizing some of these creators to help further the name of your business, I think will just really benefit you in the long run, especially in today's digital age.
I love that you're helping with designing products and products that are coming out in your name, basically. Yeah. I mean, Nike started that how many years ago, right? It was Nike that led the way there, but it works. That's because it works. And I think that a lot of manufacturers are starting to figure that out now and are doing more of it than they ever have in the past.
Yeah, I agree. I think putting like that real person, like household name behind this bigger brand or behind these bigger businesses just helps connect them on a little bit more deeper and trustworthy level with their overall shopping community.
All right. One last tip. I'm going to let you give one last tip to everybody.
Let's see. Okay. My last tip would be to adapt to changes. Social media is changing constantly. So don't get stuck in, trying to do the same thing over and over, but you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Just make sure that you're keeping up with some of these trends and things that are important online in like today's world. And next year it's going to be completely different, but don't be scared of change and don't be scared changing with social media in order to help your business.
And what's so funny about what you just said too is age makes a difference.
Yeah.
Different age groups go to different places, right? I mean, and that makes it hard too. I mean, that complicates it a little bit too. You almost have to do a little bit of everything to hit the ages you want to hit.
Yeah.
And that's constantly changing.
Yeah. Even I've noticed that, when I look at my follower age demographic, a lot of people are my age that follow me, which makes sense. And, some of the Gen Z now, like their trends, like they just don't resonate with me personally, so I'm not going to force that upon like my audience.
Well, you can't. I mean, it doesn't work, right?
Yeah.
But when we first started podcasting, it was all 40 to 60-year-old women. I mean, that's all it was when we first started years ago. And now, people listening to podcasts are in their 80s and in their teens. We have a lot of teenagers that listen. So that really has branched out and changed over the years too. And that's all of these. Facebook didn't used to be for us old people. I mean, Facebook used to be the hip new thing to do, right? Yeah. And that's just changed over time too. Every one of these changes over time.
Yes.
Yeah. And then there's a new hip thing that you and I don't even understand. So, thank you for joining us. Where can people find you?
They can find me across all social platforms, West Desperado.
West Desperado across all of the platforms. And thank you for joining us today for WESA's Retail Roundup. If you missed part of this, it will be available on the Wisdom by WESA podcast on any podcast player. I'll put it out by tomorrow morning. It's also available on the WESA Trade Show YouTube channel. And you can find it, if you wanted to watch the video, you can find it in the Facebook page too. Just look for Retail Roundup on the Facebook group. It's a private group and you want to join that as well. The next Retail Roundup will be posted via the Retail Roundup group on Monday, October the 14th at 12 o'clock Eastern, 2 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Yes, thank you so much.
All right. Bye, everybody.